Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. I have returned from my most recent wilderness ministry trek, and we are once again very warm in El Paso, hence the short sleeve polo. I was out in the desert for the last 2 weeks, and of course it was really hot out there as well. Still cool in the evenings, but it got near enough triple digits um, in February, and so I come back to El Paso, and once again, it's February. I know a lot of you are still having snow on the ground, and here we are already turning on the air conditioning. I do miss the Midwest and actual real seasons. I should not be watering the lawn in the middle of February. Something wrong with that. But it's a good trip, as is normally the way. Challenging, difficult, and rewarding all at the same time. So today, for my return trip in my Peterson here, which I have rested for 2 weeks because this is not one of my travel pipes, I'm smoking some Billy Bud by Cornell and Deal. I was able to pick this up at a brick and mortar, and it already had a couple years age on it. So it's from 2024, May 2024. So just shy of 2 years. I was like, you know what? I didn't bring any of my heavy Latakia blends with me, and I normally do. And I was like, I'm kind of craving that now. So I bought this, and it's not bad. It's Latakia, cigar leaf, burley, and Virginias. And so it sounded really rather robust, and it seemed from all the reviews I'd seen on it that it was going to be very Latakia forward. Which of course I really like, especially when I'm out, trekking through the wilderness. It's not really. I mean, Latakia is there. Definitely a great volume of smoke, as you can see from the burley. The Virginias have a couple years age on them, so there is some additional sweetness there. Cigar leaf is it has a presence. Mainly, it seems kind of like a mellowed out Virginia burley is what I'm kind of experiencing. So again, not bad, but nothing I'm writing home about. So I probably won't get it again. But the other blend I tried, I got another Briarworks tobacco. I got Unsweet tea. This one's interesting. I mean, they have unsweet tea and sweet tea. So it's they're both the same blend, but the sweet tea is cased with sugar. The unsweet tea is there's no topping on it. You'll see some reviews where people will talk about the iced tea topping. There's no iced tea topping. I don't even know if iced tea topping is a thing, and if it was, who would ever want it? It's not an iced tea topping. It's an Oriental and Virginia blend with a little bit of Cavendish in there, and the Cavendish is not in there because it's carrying a topping or a casing on the unsweet tea in any case. The Cavendish is there as a blending component, kind of like flour and a roux, just to kind of get the Orientals and the Virginias to play nice. And it's interesting. You have to watch your cadence on it. It does burn hot, but it's it's bright. It's got all the expectant, bright Virginia notes, but all that floral Oriental stuff especially on the retrohale, really kind of lights you up. I mean, it's like an aha moment. To be totally honest, not my personal taste. Um, I don't like Oriental forward blends. I like Orientals the way I like Perique, as a condimental agent, as a supporting role. Whenever you start pushing Orientals all the way to the front, unless they're held back a little bit by the presence of a decent amount of latakia. If there's not something in there to mellow them out, if they're just out there with their lights on, it's just not for me. And that's kind of the case with this. I mean, they're out there, and um, it makes it an interesting smoke. So if you're looking for something kind of unusual and complex, yeah, I think it's worth a go. So, and Billy Boy, on the other hand, yeah, I think there's better ones out there. I don't have the love hate relationship that a lot of people do with Cornell and Deal, where the blends they like, they love them, and the blends they don't like, they think they're the worst thing ever. I don't really. Bijou is about the only thing I've had that kind of reaction to thus far. And Burley number 4, where I was like, those are just absolute no's for me. But for the most part, the Cornell and Deal blends, either I like them or I think they're really good. So it's like, meh, okay, sure, I'll smoke it, or yeah, it's some top end stuff. But on to our content for today. So we are still in our Cosmos Club because there is a lot of really rich poetry in here. And this one is called Desert Asia. Only mounds now, only rarer traces, tell where cities sank and died away, tell where the hearts and hopes of passing races came to naught in melting image, time's decay. Mounds on fair horizons fading, over tossing sands where tall camels graze, clear at the morning, blurred in the evening shading, out of the desert into glowing haze. Tired nomads there at even singing, sound of echoes of a long dead world's despair, music of an ancient people ringing down the ages fills the desert everywhere. There are vistas dim where clouds dissever over far forgotten lands of lavish gleam, generations that are gone forever, kingdoms crumbling in dim primeval dream, leaving only deserts, gray and lonely, sites of unremembered cities gloomed and grand, tinted by the winds and shadows only, desolating winds like dunes of idle sand. A few things going on in here. The initial reading, when you first look through it, it's kind of like desert landscape, of which I've spent a lot in the last couple of years. It seems desolate, but at once it was thriving with life. I mean, when you look at all the various empires that lived in the desert regions of the Middle East, empires that have come and gone. I mean, the Amalekites and the Assyrians and the Syrians and the Babylonians and the Persians. I mean, just over and over and over, these massive, massive empires, these massive cities, um, that now are just largely gone, or they're ruins, or they're not even there anymore. You can't even see them. They're covered up by the sand. And so it kind of speaks to this idea of the impermanence of human creation, how even our massive, powerful empires eventually just go back to the sand. And it kind of put me in mind of Ecclesiastes, chasing after the wind. All of these things are meaningless. And I think oftentimes when we read Ecclesiastes and we read poems like this, where we talk about those kinds of things, about the impermanence of human creation, that um, it can put you in mind of like what's the point, right? I mean, it's all chasing after the wind. All these things are meaningless, right? I mean, one of the grandest, wisest, richest kings in the history of the world writes this book and is just like, oh, everything's just, I've got it all. I've got everything. I've got, you know, all the money. I've got all the land. I've got all the notoriety. I've got all the wisdom, and everything I have. It's all meaningless. These cities, these massive empires built up in the desert sand, and now they're all gone. It's all meaningless. It can make it, sound kind of depressing. But I think you need to look at it a different way. If you're in a room with your back to the door and you hear a door open and close, what does it mean? Someone came into the room or someone left the room. Just the sound of itself, just the operation of the door can mean two entirely different things and have two entirely different impacts. And so can this perspective of all these worldly creations that we do going away, these things of meaningless. It can either make us depressed because we're impermanent and nothing we do lasts, or it can point us to that which is permanent. And that's why I like in the poem where it talks about the singing of the desert nomads and how that traces down through history and does not go away. There are things that are impermanent, and the nature of the transient nature of creation points us to that. We can participate in the eternal. We don't have to just deal with these things that come and go on a daily, weekly, monthly, or 1,000-year basis. There's something that we can be a part of that lasts eternally, that never goes away, and that is our relationship with God through Jesus Christ. There is something beyond, something greater, so that when we're building sandcastles down here and they get destroyed, we don't have to be depressed, because all these things are just a model of what lasts eternally, and that's something that everybody can take part in. Well, I'm going to return to my coffee and my tobacco from Cornell and Veal. Hope you have a lovely week. As always, happy reading.